everyone that's here holding this magnificent energy for this beautiful day that's been created for us. I want to say thank you. And for all those that you said it's on YouTube or Zoom, thank you, each and every one, because you're adding to the love, the power of the love that's right here and right now. I know as we begin to move into this energy, and I feel like prayer, we've already prayed, the energy's already been set. It's a part of the opening up of the awareness of the consciousness of who we are and who God is, what's happening in this day and time. As I begin to, I'm living in two worlds right now, folks. So we all can touch these worlds and these different dimensions. And I recognize this is the way I get there. Somebody said, well, how do you get in these spaces, Elizabeth? Well, one is opening that heart and beginning to go inside, because that's the life that is living in us. It's life itself, it's source itself. Then when I start hearing positive words and positive music and energy that can just begin, you can be like the eagle. You can begin to rise up and start flowing with that, just drifting like the hot air balloon. It just takes you to a higher space. It begins to clear out all these things at lower levels. But we all have to find our unique way of taking these steps where Jesus said, come and follow me. Come and follow me. The title of the lesson, I guess, today, or like forms and titles and stuff, those things are kind of difficult for me because I like to just go with what's coming out. But what next, Lord? What's next for us? What's the next step? As we look out into the world, people are wondering that. All these things happening. But it's time. Yeah, it's time. It's time. It's time to walk side by side with that Christ consciousness. You're saying, let your love surround me, God. This week, I've been knocked off my feet, as you noticed, for a while. But that's okay. That's okay. I'm so busy going here and there and doing everything I can do for you all day long, but don't you do for me. I didn't realize I had that so deep. I don't mind being a caregiver, but Tony says I'm the worst patient he's ever met. That, you know, he said, what's going to happen to you? You can be so thirsty. And I'll say, honey, do you want a drink of water? And you'll say no. And 10 minutes later or less, you'd be up getting it, maybe fall over dead. He said, but you want to do for yourself, let others do for you. I can receive from spirit, but it's hard for me to receive from others. And I'm learning a lesson with all this. So thank you for your love, your support, but we're all learning lessons. Troy was working with my energy this morning, and I recognized a big block that I had in stepping forward. So you mentioned me just telling the personal things, which I always wind up doing, is opening my mouth and telling you things. And I think, why do I do this? It's because if I'm speaking about something about me, I'm referring to something about you. We all have these things going on in us. And what's been coming up for me, I've been seeing things in me that I need to clear out and clear out and clear out to make more room for the light to begin to come forth from me and from you. I see it in you. And so with this, it's like I'm seeing so many different dimensions. And my thing about not wanting, I really have never wanted to be in front of anybody. That's not my thing. I used to when I was little in school. If I had to give a book report, 9 out of 10, I'd get so sick that I'd be up checking. And then, of course, I didn't have to do the book report. But to think that I've come from that type of personality to where I am here, it was a God thing. It was just a God thing. The doors opened that I began to speak. And truly, when I said that, I'm feeling it is a God thing. I'm right where I'm supposed to be, but I'm not being all that I need to be. All that I need to be and all that you need to be is an example. My big brother Jesus talked with me when I was little, and I remember those things, and I try to pretend that it was just my imagination. It wasn't my imagination, and I've got to stop saying it was my imagination to myself. The way I learned things came from him because I was dyslexic, and I thought I was the dumbest person on the face of the earth. I was ashamed of myself and who I was, and I didn't have the ability to pick up a book and read to even my children. I wouldn't read nursery rhymes or anything to my children because I was afraid I'd mess up on the words. And so somehow I made it through working with neurologists, and all the doors just started opening for me. So it's no mistake I'm here. But as I've been sitting still this week and recognizing we're here to complete the work or help complete the work that our elder brother Jesus came in to do. He came to show us the way to open the door from the inside out and let the Christ within us begin to come forth. The seed of divinity, the seed of love, it's in us. And we finally come to the place that we're beginning to see the inside of us. We're beginning to see the outside. And what else going on? The old has to pass away to behold the new to begin to come. The new what? A new consciousness, a new way of being. Only fear and love exist. And fear is what controls me. Fear is what controls you. Fear is what stops us in our tracks from being all we can be. Because if you're being all you can be and you're walking through that space, you've got this voice behind you trying to make you fear, telling you you're not good enough, you're not wise enough, you're not this, you're not that, and you're not the other. I used to think it's my mother's voice of things she said, but this week I began to hear it a little different. It's own voice from this lifetime and lifetimes before, telling me all the things that I'm not good enough to do or all the things I can't do. But I'm here today to say to you and to me, through the Christ that's in you, through the divine that's in you, you can do all things. Jesus came into this world. He said the reason he came into this world as a male is because in that day, the tradition was that everything that belonged to the Father belonged to the Son. It was his inheritance. It was his birthright. All that I have is yours. And Jesus said, all that I do, every single one of you can do also. And he said, when this new time comes, this energy begins to, seems like it's dividing and passing away. And you can see that difference in you, in me, in the outer world, what's going on. It looks like a great divide. But what's happening is we fell from a higher vibration of consciousness. And when we did, we fell in fear. We fell out of love, out of divine love, into fear. And fear has been ruling this world all this time. The meek shall inherit the earth. The meek shall inherit the earth. And what is the meek? I wrote it down several months ago because a friend was asking me that, and it came up, and I thought, what was that? What was that? What was that? And so I wrote it again down. The meek. The meek is anyone highly trained to react to all negative stimuli with love. Instead of an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. You've been in training. You've been in training, not just this lifetime, but in training for many lifetimes to recognize when there's a negative stimulus coming to you, whether it's from within or without. You have been in training to know how to meet that with love, with wisdom, to handle it with love and not fear, with no need to get back at someone. I'm seeing it so clearly that I can't say anything about anyone's difference in the way anyone feels anymore. I can observe it. This has been going on just in the past few days. I felt it and I've talked about it, but it feels like it's an intellectual thing. We read and we know through the intellect. It has to come. The seeds have to be placed within us. We have to then water the seeds for us to grow, or allow the seeds, those thought seeds, to grow. You know, your thoughts are not really in your mind. Your thoughts surround you, just like the presence of God surrounds you. Thoughts, not just your thoughts, but the thoughts from the beginning of time, from the time everything was beautiful and the time that everything begins to fall into fear. You have that memory. I know when the computers came out, I was thinking, oh, this is wonderful. You can just put in anything. Well, at first, that's not the first thing I thought. I didn't like them at all. But you can Google anything and get the answer. And I started feeling, I've spoken that when I've had that energy up here at times, we are the internet. We are the internet. That's why the idea of the internet came. The divine knows everything. The divine in you that you don't know is you is still there. And there's any question that you can't resolve, God has the answer. You know that old Baptist song, I know my Lord has the answer to every problem I can't solve. And he'll be right there for us. But instead, we go looking everywhere outside of ourselves for answers when the answer is already here. I know this week, I think having experiences, I'm asking God to bring the experiences to me that I need so I'll wake up to know the truth. The truth is there. I have the faith. But faith, I'm hearing, is not knowing. Faith is believing a thing. And in that time when Jesus came in, your faith or the belief in someone that had that power could open up from within you, that energy would bring healing, would begin to transform you, where we're going into a different space now. And I've never wanted anybody to follow me, but guess what? Jesus didn't either. But he said, come and follow me and I will show you. I will make you fishers of men. Now, what was he talking about? I never thought about that before. But what he was saying is you're fishermen and you can bring in the fish. I'll help you bring in others to a higher way of living, a higher way of knowing. How? Because if you follow me, my example, I am the way to the I am presence in you. He came to break through a heavy consciousness, to break through the carnal mind, and to show us the way to freedom. I came to open the prison doors, to set the captives free. Where are the prison doors? The prison doors are the prison doors of our mind. Your thoughts have you captive. Your fears have you inside a jail that you feel like there is no key. But you are the one that opens it from the inside out. And so we're being called to begin to look at the master, or you can look at any master and see the paths that they've walked, because I believe Jesus incarnated many times through Buddha and others, showing the way to get to the place that the fullness of the manifestation would be seen here on earth. He was the first human, I do believe, to ever reach the fullness of the manifestation of a son or a daughter of God. The fullness of divinity in flesh had not been seen before. And this is what's happening right now. It's time for the spirit of who we are to be that life in us, to transform even the physicalness into a place of ascension and coming back and forth. He was the first one to do it, and I don't know if it's going to take 10,000 years to accomplish it. It's not that we have to hold on to the forms. The forms are like a movie. They're just there. They look solid to us. We are spiritual beings is who we truly are. But anything can come into a higher vibration. We're constantly changing. Life is constantly changing. The ebb and flow of the maturing of something and then the turning loose and the old passing away. But what? Something new comes out of that same energy, that very same energy. the life of an apple tree. When it finally gives up and begins to deteriorate, look at all the seeds that came from it that bring up even something more all the time. We're the seedlings of God itself. And so we're being called into this place. And it says that, the few there that enter, I'm getting a tap on my back, and it says on my shoulder right here saying, all will enter in. All have been called. But the choice is up to you. You have free will. You were given free will as a creator. As a creator being, you were given that. And so now we're standing in that place of choose this day. Choose every day. Choose every moment. Will you serve the higher vibrations or the lower? And it doesn't, how do I say it? It's okay wherever anyone is. It really is okay. We're all growing at our own pace. We're all learning lessons until we learn it and then truly experience it. This week, sometime during this week, I hobbled into the living room and I was looking outside and I saw the trees kind of swaying in the breeze. And I felt light and peaceful. So I made my way over to the back door. We have a screened-in porch. I opened the door, and oh, my goodness. Oh, I was in a whole new world. The birds were singing. I could hear the crickets, and I could hear the katydids, I guess, or whatever you call them, that charfly things that make a noise, and the frogs and stuff. It was early in the morning. The sun was coming out, and there was a cool breeze, so different from the August week before. And so I sat down on the couch and I was just looking out the window and I thought, my goodness, this is like heaven. The more I breathe and the more I experience, the higher I seem to go. And I thought, I feel like I'm in bliss. This is a beautiful world. And as soon as I thought that, I heard a voice come from the kitchen. Oh my gosh, it's so hot in here. It is so hot. I know it's burning up outside this morning. It's probably, 80 or 90 degrees already. It's like, what's going on here? I began to question myself. Tony was in the kitchen going over some paperwork, talking about how hot it was. I thought, am I dreaming? So I rolled myself over on this wonderful little walker I never wanted to be on. Somebody loaned to. And I made it over to the side sliding glass doors and I opened the door. I could feel the breeze and watch the trees swaying. Oh my goodness, it was just very gentle. And I thought, no, it's not a dream. I am on this world with Tony. I said, you're hot, Tony? I sure am. I said, well, get up and come out and step on the deck just for a moment and take a deep breath. You don't know what all I've got to do. I hadn't even finished all my reports from last night. I meant to. I stayed up late and still didn't finish. I've been up since early this morning. What do you mean? I don't have time. I don't have time to go out there on the deck. What's wrong with you? But it's hot as everything in here. Okay. So very gently, I rolled into the kitchen. We have windows on either side that roll out on where the oven is. Rolled one out, rolled across, rolled the other one out. Then I made my way back to the sliding glass door and I said, Tony, do you feel a breeze coming through those windows and through the side door? Well, yeah. I said, can you come out here? You don't know what all I've got to do. I've got so much to do. So I just backed back a little bit, just was watching outside how beautiful it was for me and how horrible life was for him. He even said, I feel like I'm on a hamster on a treadmill. Go, go, go. And I thought, oh, he's in his world and I'm in mine. He's in his world and I'm in mine. Now, I'm not telling you this to criticize my husband. He's a very positive person. But that morning, he was in his own world. But then he got up and he stepped out on the deck and he leaned over the rails for just a little while and looked out. And I knew he took a deep breath. And when I knew he took that deep breath, I could feel anxiety going. Can you feel that? Can you feel that? Take a deep breath. See the beauty of the day, the coolness from what it has been, the fire, the anger. All that can still be in somebody else's world. And I'd love to say, come, step out of that consciousness. Come into the heart. See the beauty of life. Even if something's going wrong, seems wrong in the body or outside or anything, there's something going right in it. There's something going right. What could be going right in the outer world right now? Some of you are asking. What's going right is we're seeing the misuse of divine energy. This earth was given to us. We are creator beings. And we had everything that was so wonderful in divine love and that connection. And all of a sudden, we decided to take and use our will to do what we wanted to. But we needed to do that, see what all we can create as creators, because we didn't appreciate all the goodness that was here around us, that we had need of nothing. All our needs are supplied. Jesus came back to earth to remind us, you don't have to worry. You don't have to fret. All your needs are met. I have experienced those things. I told you, Troy, I mentioned some things, but it's like the thought thing comes up to me. Who does she think she is? Is she special? We're all special. Every single one of us. They said that of my brother Jesus, come to think of it. When you were talking last week, who does he think he is? And so they wound up killing him. Well, if we keep listening to that stuff, it will also kill off the divinity in us. We've been doing that to ourselves. It's time for us to just be still and listen, to experience. I think it was Linda and I were talking this week, talking about how the inflow and outflow wasn't flowing, financially flowing like it did before. And she said, we only got a couple of checks. Well, this week we got 2 checks. One of them, I think it was our tithe, but only 2 checks came in this week. And I recognized, and I told Linda, but I didn't do it again this week, I guess, is I give thanks for what comes to us. I used to, everything that was sent into this office, I gave thanks. Everything that went out, I gave thanks. I would take the mail to the post office, and somebody else said, well, I can do that. The reason I did it, I wanted an opportunity to thank God that the inflow to pay the bills came to us, and that we were abundant enough that wherever it went, I wanted to bless the Duke Power. I want to bless our church, blesses the telephone company, the air conditioning, the heating, all that. It's blessing. And I learned that through my own life. Coming from 1307 English Street in Greensboro, if you want to go on that side of town and check it out sometime. I was born in a little log house there. And from what people say was poverty to all that's happened in my life, it's been magic. But I always give thanks for the little I have. And out of the little, I was taught as a young age to give part of that little that I have because something else or someone else needs it also. Bless somebody with what you have. And out of that, I've had need for nothing. Whatever I started from the feet up. I worked for a podiatrist, from a podiatrist to a neurologist, from a neurologist to the divine. And financially, I left the neurology department. I left that to make $100 a week here at Unity. When I made over more than that in an hour. Tony thought I was crazy. But I told him, I said, Tony, if it was only me and I didn't have you in my life to bring any financial support, I would do it. I would do it. And I would be okay, even if I ate peanut butter and crackers. I would be okay. And with that, I've watched things grow. I watched this come into manifestation. I've watched you do these things. And right now, we need each other like we've never needed each other before. In the Psalms, it says how wonderful, how beautiful it is to see people coming together in unity and in love. To see that. You know why? David was saying it was so beautiful because when you come together, you're bringing the body, the cells, and the consciousness of the divine presence together that it can begin to express in outer form through each and every one of us. And when we come together, supporting each other and being an example, a positive example to each other, I learn from you. You learn from me. We learn from each other. And I can't do the things that you do because you have a place, a gift. And whatever I have, I'm that little seed or that little cell doing what I do. No way I could play like Kelsey or anybody else that plays or sings or does magnificent things musically. That's just not what I was born for. But you were born for this age. Everybody that's out there, everybody that's in here, everybody that's in the world is born for this age and time because it's the doing away or the falling away of the old that the new can come forth. I want it to happen today and tomorrow, but it's got to start somewhere. Jesus brought in the truth, the way, and the light over 2,000 years ago. And what was he calling us to? Calling us to love, just like what you were singing about. Love, bringing us back to love. Sure, we're seeing all this stuff out in the world, but how can we send love and light and peace to that? I keep wanting to do the world things and then the universal things as I watch energy spread out and beyond the self. But you know, we all have to begin to take our steps. So take a step within for you. Start seeing the peace, the love in you. Start listening to that inner voice that can rise above all those negative fear-felt thoughts that come through the mind. You are an overcomer. You can overcome those things. I thought I had to fight those things, fight those feelings, fight that thinking. But no, all I have to do is rise above it. But then this week I experienced something else. Made my way out on that cool side deck, sat there meditating. And I was thinking, Lord, I never want to think another negative thought. And I had the feeling of complaining right after that about I couldn't get up and walk here and there. And a little voice inside says, now that you have to be still, can't be walking around all the place. Time. Come on, fly like the eagle. Fly like the eagle. begin to rise up. We're meant to fly in higher dimensions over this 3D world of this lower vibration of consciousness. There's ways been opening up and opening up. And there was as I closed my eye, I saw this beautiful golden light in front of me. And it was as though it was saying, give to me all those thoughts, all those voices. That's when I began to hear and recognize it wasn't my mother telling me these things. It was the part of my own consciousness I was living in, repeating things that were negative. And it began to flow into that golden energy field. And then I realized all is love. All is love. But we create this lower level consciousness. And now we are coming aware of that we can release that back into the energy field of the divine, the purity of God, if you will. And it takes it to higher places where it's transmuted, where those energies no longer need to come back to us in lower thought forms at all. But we're in the midst of a divine transformation within each and every one of us. But it's not someone from outer space that's going to come and save you from this lower dimension. It's not the skies opening up and the angels coming to help us rise above. But Jesus came, the Master came to show us the way. You are what you've been looking for. The divine is in each and every one of you. Come unto me, all ye that heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon me and learn of me. For I am meek. I am meek. I know how to meet everything with love. That's what Jesus is saying. And I can show you the way that you can do this also. As we begin to experience those things for ourselves, not fight against everything within us, but begin to know that it can be transformed. Be ye transformed how? By the renewing of your thoughts. Bringing back into renewal those pure ideas you had in the beginning. This is what we're being called to, folks. Right here, right now. Not one or two, but all. But all. So when we want to judge somebody, if you can take that silly little experience I had that really touched me deeply with being in the same room or sitting right beside someone and somebody so upset while you're sitting there being in bliss. Don't beat yourself up for feeling like you're, feeling the feelings you feel. And don't beat them up for feeling what they feel. Honor right where they are. Honor where you are. Because you might say, well, Elizabeth, you thought you were superior. No, the voice inside of me right then wanted to criticize me. That's why I got up and said, Elizabeth, you're just daydreaming. That's hot out there. It's not a cool day, because Tony knows. He knows it's probably 80-some degrees. He's probably already picked up the paper and found out it's going to get that hot. But no, we have different places we're living in, just like Troy was telling you last week. Jesus went into all those towns and the cities to get to where? Jerusalem, to a place of peace. But while he was at the place of peace, something else happened. What happened? All the negativity started rushing in on him. People telling him who he wasn't, what he was. You're a blasphemer. You're this, that. You're evil. You're of the devil. But even with all that stuff around him, he went to Calvary. He went to Calvary. Wow, we should just cry and wail and carry on about that. Oh, goodness. No, we should celebrate that. Because when we're going to those places where we know who we are, and he told them that, you have no power over me. They were telling him, we're going to kill you. We're going to be crucified if you don't tell us that, just just get out of town. Just forget all that you've been saying. all this stuff. Just leave us or you're going to be crucified. No, because I know who I am. I know who I am, and you have no power over me. Face the fear. Face it. He walked into it, but I hear some of you saying, but he was destroyed. No, he wasn't. He wasn't. We are eternal beings, and the life of God can never be destroyed. And what did he come for? He came to show you you can overcome anything, even physical death. He did that to show you that you have resurrection power. You have the power within you to rise above anything, any circumstance, any monster that you face. It's like a video game. I remember when my grandsons first got the video game. My oldest one was a little fella, but he liked to fight these monsters. And he would go to it, and he'd always find he would get killed. He would. But then the next time he'd know where to go. I watched him one day, and he was going out, and I said, just run on up the back of the monster. And I said, find that place. I said, you'll get closer to it. Well, I think I know where it's at. But he would turn around and come back in the little video game. And I began to see this is where we are. We're afraid to move forward. We're afraid to learn. But even if we die in this lifetime, I will return. He said, I will return. I will come back. I will keep coming back. We will keep coming back with the Christ in us till one day we recognize we are loved. We have nothing to fear. We came to rescue others. He came to rescue us, not to pick us up and take us to that high place. How many times do you see Jesus talking about what heaven in the sky is all about? He said, heaven is among you. Heaven is right here. Heaven is in your consciousness. Heaven is in your awareness. I always thought we were evolving. And now the sun is even giving off these blasts right now. I don't know if you know it or not, but there are solar flares that are so dramatic right now. And that is what is affecting this earth right now. But this was known from the beginning of time. When this energy starts coming up, it's going to lift our frequencies. It's going to raise everything that's happening right now is to raise your fear to the top. So what? So it can be scooped away and so it can be resolved in you. So you will fear nothing. And in that fear nothing, you will walk through those fires of your own imagination. You will stand in the midst of those places where Daniel was thrown into the lion's den. The lions couldn't hurt him. Those are all symbology of you walking through your own places in your own mind that bring you these things. Yes, they may or may not happen literally to you, but you're going to make it through. You're going to make it through it. Even if you have to come back again and again, you'll make it through it until you realize who you are. You are a son. You are a daughter of the Most High God. And all that the Father has for you is already been given. Now it's time for us to step into that place of knowing. Don't be afraid to experience and be still and know you are not alone. God is in you, through you, around you, as you. And so it is. This is the great discovery. Christ in you, divinity in you, pure love in you. This is that glory we had before the worlds were made. And Jesus said, let me have that glory that I once had with you before all of this creation in the outer. And so it is. So he's still with us, showing us the way, the truth, and the light. And he said, it's in you. The kingdom of God is within you. For you are the temple of the living God, is what my brother said. You are where God dwells. Now seek him, and he will seek you. Seek, and you'll find. Well, I seek every day, but then I have to get on my computer. I have to go to work. When the Spirit is within you, leading you and guiding you, listen, listen, listen. You've had a life this past year or two. where you had an opportunity to be still. You had an opportunity to take time with God. God was right there within you, ready and willing to allow you to feel the closeness. God never leaves you. God never leaves me. But we leave that presence of Jehovah. We go in and out that place, and yes, we will. We'll go in and out that deeper temple of God until one day we'll go in and come out no more. That's where you see those that are called the gurus or called the illumined ones. Some truly are there and some are just called that. But those that are in that position, they have need of nothing. They know whatever's going on, that all is well. You've seen the darkness and the monsters that are on this planet Earth, within us and within the world. When it started opening up to me a few years ago, I didn't want to see it. I didn't want to believe it. I didn't want to hear it. So it's whatever side you listen to, that's the world you live in. But I found out there's another place to go. That's inside. Inside where the power is. Inside where the love is. Inside where God is. Then no matter what goes on in our life, when we trust that presence, they said not trust. We know that presence. When you've experienced enough that you know it, all things are possible. Because then you can say, as Jesus said, I and the Father are one. I and the Father are one. I have to be patient. But I know that day will come. I know the restoration of all things will be given. And we will be restored to that high place within this body temple that we can rule and reign with our Creator forevermore. And so it is. Our loving Creator, I give thanks for your holy presence that's always with us. May our eyes, what Jesus did, the miracle he performed more than any that we read about in the Bible is opening the blind eyes, opening the blind eyes, opening the blind eyes, opening the spiritual eyes that takes away the blindness from seeing the God within all things, within all people, within all races, knowing we are a race of people called the human race, beautiful in every way. May our eyes and our ears be open to the things that the Spirit of God would say from within us all. Thank you, God. Lead us and guide us into all truth. For this I give thanks. Amen. 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 Were you going to sing another song and then take up the, okay. Do you want to take up the offering while you're doing that or after? Okay, if the ushers would please come. If you get there, yeah. I know I can throw this away, but for some reason there's a lesson to be learned in staying off that right knee. Let us bless it together. And love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And I am grateful.